Howdy, Halo fans. Angels Cowboy here. With me, as always, Fernando, the Lonestar Halo himself. And welcome to another episode of the HITI Halo Hot Take Hoedown. Today is a very special one because we're going to talk about a certain player who is down in the minor leagues who we believe is going to get called up sometime in the near future. How soon? We'll find out coming up right after this.
Texas plains, hot takes flying right off the reins. Lonestar, Halo, Cowboy, Vince, calling it bold, never on the fence. Hold down time, turn it up loud. Hot takes are ringing, drawing a crowd. No matter how wild, no matter how strange, ain't no limit on the takes we say.
There we go. Sorry, guys. Some technical difficulties trying to get everything started there. How's it going? Welcome to this episode of the Halo Hot Take Hoedown. Me, the Lone Star Halo, Vince, Cowboy Vince. We are here to talk Angels baseball. We are here to give hot takes. And honestly, Vince, right now I'm feeling pretty good. It seems like you are too. At this point, I'm kind of worried about our power. You know, we had a Rob in the Halos and Infield group chat talking about like, hey, man, you guys got to start saying like Artie's going to sell the team. Or, you know, people at this point are probably going to want us to say some outlandish stuff to fit whatever they want done in the Angels universe. But Vince and I need to watch our powers because, man, right on Kikuchi. So far looking pretty damn right in Adele. We'll see what's going to happen about those Ohapi, Neto, and potentially Anderson being all-stars. We were saying that Kenley Jansen's the best free agent signing of the year. As of right now, still looking pretty good on that. So I don't know, Vince. I mean, we'll see what's coming around the corner. Eventually, we gotta miss on one of these. But for right now, I'm okay with riding the high.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Wild West for a reason, and we're getting wild here. I mean, no, like we said, like this theme song says, ain't no limits on the takes we say. And that is true because we can say the most outlandish stuff. But, you know, that's the beauty of baseball. Anything can happen regardless of what you say. And I'll tell you this, anything can happen because what happened this past weekend, I did mention I did go to the game against Seattle on Saturday. And I had some doubts going into that game because, number one, Seattle, I mean, we, for some reason, can't beat Seattle, regardless of what time of the year, how good we are, or how good they are, or how bad they are, whatever. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to vibe and enjoy the game. I ran into a couple friends out there. And then all of a sudden, after 2 years, so you could say, September of 2022 was the last time I saw a live in-person win at Angel Stadium, and finally the curse broke. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did during that time. I mean, maybe I just had to be around the right people, or maybe I just had to change something, or possibly bring the positive energy. Because I will say this: before I got to the game, I ran into a couple of friends in the parking lot, and we were having a line dancing pre-tailgate. And I said, you know what? Maybe there's some good juju that will come about. So I came in and ran into a couple of friends, and then before you know it, bang! I think I got rewarded now that happened.
There you go. Everyone go line dance immediately. And maybe that'll get the Angels to the playoffs. At this point, man, we got to grasp at straws. I do want to ask you this, Vince. Did you think that where we currently stand, I mean, we're starting to flirt here with the halfway point. You know, we're a couple weeks away from that. We're inching closer and closer to the Angels at the halfway point. So that being said, did you have the Angels being in second place of the division I don't want to say this like this far into the season because the season is still young, of course. But I mean, given this roster, given our expectations going into this year, did you even think the Angels would be competing at this point?
No, I had him at fourth place at best because I mean Oakland is or Sacramento, whatever you want to call them. I mean we're going to be saying that for the next few years, but I didn't. I knew the A's weren't going to be as competitive, even though they do compete against division opponents, but against other leagues, it's a lot different when you're playing in a minor league park, especially when other teams come in and they go into Sacramento. They're happy because like, hey, look, everything's smaller here. It's not like we're playing at the Coliseum like in the old days. So I didn't think they would compete as well. I mean, if anything, it was a competition for who's going to get a higher draft pick between us and the A's. But to see where they are right now, yeah, it's good to see. It's a lot of hope, and the reason why I like to see that is because of the future of the Angels and whoever has been coming up, because we have a lot of young guys on this roster. And don't get me wrong, the veterans have done their part. Travis d'Arnaud is starting to come around just a little bit, even though we thought, he's not going to be a valuable piece when we signed him. The only value he had was to, of course, mentor Logan O'Hoppe and some of these young pitchers. But technically, he's been working with the veteran pitchers more. That's why you see him again when Hendricks pitches and when Kikuchi pitches. And also, you have to take into consideration, like Moncada was, he was hitting the ball good before his injury. Then you have the bringing in of Chris Taylor, who is basically the fill-in utility guy who could play anywhere whenever a guy needs a day off because he can play second, he can play short, outfield, wherever. And but also he's been in the postseason. He knows what it's like to be in to get there at some point. So there's some mentorship there to the younger players. Like, look, I know you guys can't compete. I see the heart that you guys put in. You can compete in the next few seasons. So this is just so you kind of do have to flirt before the window opens to let your fans know, like, hey, this young generation of players, they're ready to rock and roll come next season when that window does officially open. Now, if they pull a Texas Rangers and, they make a push for the playoffs or get in, they sneak in, that's even better. But at this point, I'd rather have them flirt than to go full in, because when it comes to trade deadline talks, which we're going to talk about next month for sure, it's going to be in a couple weeks, I think right now you just have to stay put. You have to trust your young players and you have to trust your future, because that's all the Angels have to depend on right now is, like I said a couple weeks ago, it's not the best players that are going to get you into the promised land. It's the right players. Granted, yes, best players are great, but also the right players too. Who's putting the work ethic, who's putting the heart and soul into the team, and isn't just playing for a paycheck. They're playing for much more than that.
Yeah, we've said it before. We'll say it again. The Angels aren't really expected to start contending until next year, right? That's this plan on paper. Our hope this year is to be playing meaningful ball games. And as of right now, that is still the hope, right? Keep playing good baseball. And I'll say this. We've been on this network. This is our fourth year now. So 2021 was the first year we started covering this team. I will say the last month worth of baseball, not every game's been pretty, but overall, if we're taking the sample size of the last 30 games, this is probably the best Angels baseball I've seen in a 30-day stretch in the 4 years we've done this show, because the starting pitching doing a great job. I heard a great stat by Wayne Randazzo. The Angels are the only, I have to underline that word 100 times because our organization has not been known for great starting pitching lately. We are the only organization, Major League Baseball, that has had 5, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 5 starting pitchers in their starting rotation since opening day. That's a big deal because this organization is an organization that's been riddled with health issues. Now, for anyone who's saying, Fernando, you just jinxed it. No, that was a stated fact. You know what? I'm not an idiot. None of us are naive. Is our starting rotation going to stay healthy? 100% to the end of the year, the chances of that happening are slim to zero. I mean, this is Major League Baseball in 2025. It doesn't happen. If it does happen, I will literally eat a real crow on the air. You can call me Ozzy Osbourne. Okay? It's probably not going to happen. But look, even if we have a little bit of an injury situation, for the first time in a long time, the Angels have a little bit of depth at the starting rotation position. You know, you have Clausen, you have older Gary that just came up. So you call him back up, call up Dana. Did I already say Clausen? There are options of guys. It is, you have Detmers for crying out loud. So this isn't where it has been in the past where, Andrew Heaney got hurt. Vince, go out there. We're just getting fans out of the crowd because there's nobody left. The Angels have legitimate depth for once. And, I get it. These names aren't sexy names right now. Maybe in a couple of years they will be as they get some of that pedigree. But as of right now, these are still young and unproven guys. But there's nothing wrong with that because this is a young and unproven team. This is a team that's clearly hungry. I mean, even if this season takes a U-turn and the Angels start playing bad baseball, which also might be inevitable. Why? Because baseball is about ebbs and flows. It's about peaks and valleys. Right now, the Angels are riding a high, and they have been for the greater part of the last month. But what are these guys going to do when all of a sudden nobody's hitting water that fell off the boat? What's going to happen when the pitchers are going up there throwing batting practice? Can the team respond? And that's what I really want to see, Vince. That's what I'm really excited to see because right now, okay, great. We can see what this team is capable of when things are going well. But when your team isn't doing well, can you find ways to win? And we saw a little bit of that in the Boston series because that wasn't a perfect series by the Angels. Honestly, those were 3 games, and I think the Red Sox were the better team, and we've talked about that already in our previous show. But they found ways to win. So can you do that for the entire season? Jury's still out, but as of right now, Vince, this is a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fight in this team, and I think the reason why is because the attitude is changing a little bit because we have a younger roster compared to the last few years. Because we've all noticed that in the past few years, we've had more veterans than we've had rookies or sophomores or young talent in our roster. And for some reason, veterans they don't show as much fight as you think. And I think the reason why is because of how the playing field is. Like, you have a 33-year-old veteran facing a 23-year-old freaking, hard thrower lefty that is just going to blow fastballs right by you. The playing field isn't leveled out. And that's what I think affected us a little bit. We were depending more on veterans to help us get to the promised land, but that's not the case. You would rather have a 23-year-old stud at the plate facing a 24, 25-year-old hurler on the mound because it's pretty much even right there. There's guys out there who can't. I mean, look at Zach Neto at his young age. Yeah, he's playing against grown men, but at the same time, he knows how to hit that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, how to make that adjustment. In fact, with the whole leg kick, he went from using the leg kick, that was his signature, and then one moment against Seattle where he did that. It was a delayed windup, and Zach Neto did a double pump, as you could say, on his leg kick, and he ends up striking out because because the pitcher who was on the mound for the Mariners, I forget his name, but I did see a video about it, messed up his timing. Zach Neto could have easily said, you know what, maybe I'll just focus on my leg kick and I'll just time it differently. Well, here's the thing, dude. You got exposed in that at-bat. So what does he do? Instead of, dealing with the exposure and I'm just going to have to live with it, he says, you know what, I'm going to change my approach. What does he do? He ditches the leg kick and he just does a little toe tap. And look, it's helping out pretty well. And that is a growing player right there. Whereas some veterans out there, if they get exposed a certain way, guess what? They don't do anything about it because they said, I've played this game for 10 years already. Don't tell me what to do. It's like, I've been here. I'm still here for a reason. This team believes I can still compete, but they see me as what they've known me in the past, and I'm going to continue to do that. They don't make the adjustments. But the young players, they make those adjustments for two reasons. One, they have to stay in the league, and two, they want to win. And there's the age-old saying, I'll say it every week if I have to. It's hard to make it to the league, but it's even harder to stay in the league. I've seen a lot of these younger players on the Angels roster that are working hard to stay here. Zach Neto's an example. Of course, Logan O'Hoppe back in a few years ago was another example. And then the pitching too, especially Jose Soriano. Now I want to say this. I think Jose Soriano might have snuck in and saw one of our episode last week because he had a lights out game against the A's this week. Unfortunately, it resulted in a no decision. What else is new? You have a good start, but your hitting can't work. Doesn't produce runs. But at the end of the day, yeah, we came out with a victory and a walk-off by Shonawell. But to be honest, Jose Soriano earned a victory in that game, and the offense just let him down. Now, I'm glad we won, but just imagine if we didn't win that game. Then the whole talk's all over Twitter and Instagram. Jose Soriano's prime is getting wasted right now because he plays on the Angels. Yeah, I mean, we're always going to be that joke every single year. So, but I'm just glad that Jose Soriano bounced back. I mean, maybe I worked some magic and I just used my words, and sure enough, something woke up. I think the baseball gods heard, and they just blessed him that day. So I'm hoping for more. I think he's figured out his sinker a lot more. He's gone viral right now on a pitching ninja. Where he has a 100-mile-an-hour sinker, something that like nobody ever throws. So I'm glad to see that he's getting recognition. And I know you say this a lot, Fernando, that he's not ready to be. You don't think he's going to be the A word yet. I agree with you. I think he's a good number 2 starter. I agree with that. But still, like he kind of pitched like an A word that day for sure.
Yeah, the tough thing is also with today's modern day of pitching, I don't really think the A word exists anymore. Because, I mean, you think of guys like, oh, well, what about Tarek Skubal and what about Paul Skeens? Okay, well, Tarek Skubal goes deep into games. Paul Skeens, they were only let him go like 6-7 innings. You know, when you think of longtime aces, you think of guys like, Nolan Ryan, Jake Peavy, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. Like, these are guys who you couldn't take the ball out of their hand. Jared Weaver, wouldn't let Mike Scioscia yank him out of a game, right, when he was the Angels ace. So with that being said, I don't think the true ace is really going to exist in today's modern day baseball. But, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But, yes, I will give Jose Soriano a lot of credit. Went right after guys, had a hell of a lot of strikeouts. Was that a career high for him? Yeah, okay. He did very well. We only go as strong as our starting pitching wants us to go. Now, the Angels have almost not lost any games when they've scored 4 runs. I think they've lost like 7 or 8 games throughout the entire year when they've scored 4 more runs. So I get it. The offense is certainly a key piece, but the pitching also needs to click for you to be able to win games. Win those other games. And right now, this pitching, at least on the starters, have done a lot more good than bad. The bullpen lately has been a lot better as well. Reed Detmers has done a good job stepping up when Kenley Jansen can't close. For the record, I think Kenley Jansen should have pitched the final game of that sweep against Oakland, given today's day off. But for whatever reason, the organization doesn't want to use pitchers back-to-back days. So whatever. But another guy I want to give credit to is definitely Reed Detmers. He deserves his flowers. There's really just a lot of respect and admiration to go around in the clubhouse right now. There was really nowhere up and down the roster where you can see a guy that's not carrying their weight and not producing right now. Right? Joe Adell is hitting the cover off the ball. Luis Rengifo is maybe kind of one of those guys who's kind of stuttering a little bit more. He's kind of spinning his wheels. He's had a rough year and a rough go of it. You really kind of want to see him turn it around. I want him to get hot before the trade deadline because that's a piece. He really hasn't been that beneficial to us right now. So that's a guy that if he starts heating up at the trade deadline, even if we are contending, you should probably consider trading him on an expiring contract. Besides Rengifo, I don't know if you could think of too many other guys, at least position players right now, that really aren't doing a good job. I mean, even Newman a little bit is starting to, I don't want to say heat up, but he's certainly not hitting as bad as he was hitting. And he's not a defensive liability. That's kind of why you have Kevin Newman around. But there's just some good baseball we're seeing right now, Vince.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kingery might have been a good choice, but he just got called up, so you really can't say anything about that because he's still fresh. He's still getting into the groove, basically. Yeah, Kevin Newman is he's up there for a defense. He's kind of like a John McDonald on the team. Like, remember John McDonald back in the day? The guy couldn't hit to save his life, but he knew how to play defense. Jack Wilson was also one guy when he was a shortstop with the Pirates and the Mariners back in the early 2000s. Yeah, we're that old. But anyway, I remember watching those guys play, and they were just great defenders, but they just couldn't hit. But you know what? It's the thing is about baseball. It's just like any job site. When you get hired, the managers and supervisors, well, mainly managers, when you get hired, they see your potential. They see where your strongest suit is in the workplace, whether it be in a factory, whether it be at a restaurant, whether it be at a grocery store, department store, anywhere. They see where your strong suit is, and guess what? They put you in that department because they see that in you. It's the same thing with baseball and any other sport. Like it's like you they see you can play defense, but you struggle hitting. So you play on a team or a team signs you that says, look, you may not be the best hitter. However, we do need you in the ninth inning for defensive purposes in the long run. And like, we've seen a lot of that. I'll give you an example in that 2002 run, Alex Ochoa. So for those of you who don't know, Alex Ochoa, we picked him up. I think he was either a trade or free agency. He was with the Brewers that season. I think he got released and we signed him. The only time Alex Ochoa got playing time was in the ninth inning during the playoffs to play right field because Kingfish would rest, and he was kind of a liability out there. Kingfish had a much better bat, obviously, than Ochoa, but when it came to defense, you want speed out there. Therefore, Ochoa was out there for the ninth inning. And that's why if you look at the final out of that World Series, who's the first guy to run to Erstad after he caught it? Alex Ochoa. And that's what a lot of these guys are with the Angels. And I feel like that's kind of how it's not a perfect team, but it's kind of the right team. Like, everybody has their own job. Like Luis Rengifo, there's at some point he had a much more valuable bat than he had a valuable glove. Now it's the other way around. His glove is being more valuable around this time, and he's hitting the Rockies start a little bit or part of the season. Maybe the peak is coming soon. He's just in a valley and he's just trying to get out of it. And everybody goes through it, of course. And then you got Jorge Soler, who improving a little bit on defense. I mean, Jorge Soler.
That was a great catch.
I was so impressed for this past week, him playing defense. Of course, that one catch that he had, and then the shallow one that was hit into right field. I didn't think he was going to get to it. And just seeing that, like, oh my gosh, like this. And it's what surprised me is because he has a groin injury. So for him to make that play, which is on a maybe 80%, 90% healthy groin, I mean, that tells you that he wanted to be out there today for sure. And I think the other reason too, he is putting more work in the outfield is because Trout hasn't got cleared to play outfield. And that is what's a positive, is that Jorge Soler decided, you know what, I'm going to step up, even though he could have said, man, I'd rather just hit. I don't want to be out there. But he knows the situation and figured, well, Mike is still not ready yet, so I'm here to do my part. And at first, Soler was signed to be a DH, but in the back of his head, he knew at one point that he had to be a full-time right fielder for multiple games, and he happened to come in clutch at the right time this week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we should probably get to the hot take. Before that, let's take a quick second to thank our sponsors. Also get some of the laundry out of the way, if you will. Give us a 5-star review, please, wherever you get your podcast. This is the Halo Hot Take Hoedown. We are here every single week to deliver a hot take. We have been, I'll toot our horn a little bit. We've been writing a lot of these. So go ahead and sound off. Follow us on social media at Halos in the infield. While you're at it, follow Vince over at Angels_Cowboy. He's posting a lot of fun content over there, always Cowboy themed. So yeah, a lot of fun questions that he does over there live in the stadium and in the Angels universe. So make sure you give him a follow with that. There's a lot of fun things over there. But yes, our Halo hot take question of the week, we post that. You guys have the opportunity to respond to it. And you guys let us know how you feel. Some people are always in favor. Some people are always opposed. But we've been getting a lot of answers lately. So we appreciate that. And also thank you to 714 Tickets for sponsoring us. Use code HITI, HITI, at checkout for 10% off all purchases going forward for any ticketing event. If you want to go there for an Angels game, watch this Angels team that's been red hot. You want to go to a WNBA game, whatever the case is, check out 714 Tickets and use that code HITI off of their already good prices because there's no hidden fees like the other guys. Head on over to Brewheim, cheer louder, and make sure you mention Halos in the infield. All you got to do there. And OC Dugouts. Check out some of the best memorabilia in the OC area. And, of course, Max Market Pro. Okay. Well, without further ado, Vince, do you want to share the hot take of the week?
I think you and I both want to share this one, and maybe the whole Angel community. Hot take of the week is Christian Moore will get called up. And at the time of this recording, it has happened. There's some magic. Yep. So I think it's a perfect time. Let's put it this way. I really thought it was going to be somewhere in July, probably close to trade deadline, because maybe there were some pieces we were going to get rid of and then holes to fill, and he was going to come in there. But the reason why I like this move is, number one, we've had injuries. So we just lost Chris Taylor, so there's a second baseman right there. And then we could have easily called up Kyron Paris, but here's the issue. The options. You know, I think he has like 2 options right now or somewhere around there. So the only way to basically even it out is to go for Christian Moore. And since he has been swinging a hot bat at the AAA level, which is something you really, really want to see in a prospect, because if they can hit at the AAA level, if they're hitting like over 350, then they're probably going to hit 280 in the bigs, in my opinion. There's like a big drop when it comes to one level to another, because like I said, everything's faster, everything is harder in the major leagues. So I do believe this is the right decision. Like I said earlier, because it's a fresh start, and like I mentioned with the Matthew Lugo episode, you go for the guy who's got the hottest bat. You go for the hottest whatever, defensive wise, pitching wise, or offensive wise. And Christian Moore is that. And granted, when we drafted him, we talked about this before. Who was a major league ready prospect draft pick? It was Christian Moore. He had just won a national championship. He's coming from an SEC, which is basically AA equivalent, to quote you, Fernando. And when you have players like that, SEC material, they're going to get called up sooner or later. And sure enough, the guy in his first or like not even full season, but it's his first official season as a professional ball player. Well, I think he has reached the full because he did make it to double A, single A in at the end of last season. So the hope is pretty high, and I am really excited because he's a workhorse, and this is something that you need in this organization. This is part of the culture change that we have been behind on, and we have not seen in this decade. I don't believe there has been many workhorses. I mean, there has, but we just probably don't know about them. But now when you have guys like Kyron Paris, Zach Neto, now Christian Moore's in the mix, this is something that we've been waiting for, and we're looking forward to it. And I hope to see him next week because I'm going next Sunday on the 22nd. So I hope he's still in the lineup at that time, because I just want to see that kid hit after seeing a lot of highlights of him hitting and the approach that he makes. It's going to be exciting. And the question is he going to continue, or is he going to get the jitters? You never know. I don't think he's going to get the jitters. The reason why, like I said, he's played in the SEC. He's played in Division I environment. Probably he's played at LSU. He's played, of course, in his home at Tennessee, which is just as a pro-like atmosphere, as you could say. A&M especially, it's the worst because they have the 12th man, and those fans are the loudest in the SEC when it comes to baseball. So, yeah, I think he's definitely ready for sure, 100%.
Yeah, so just a little peek behind the curtain. So this was a take that Vince and I were already talking about like a week and a half ago. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, being completely honest with you guys, it'll be the morning of, Vince and I would be like, we got nothing. So, we're kind of floundering. This was a take that we really called like, hey, the next week's take is going to be the Christian Moore take. So him and I were already talking about this. Luckily, Christian Moore continued to stay hot. And 3 days ago is when we made this. And the take exactly was Christian Moore is ready to make his MLB debut. Not, hey, he's going to be ready soon. The take was he is ready as of 3 days ago. And a lot of the people didn't agree with us. I'll read some of these comments before I go into what I think. Kev 23, if we are in a playoff spot by the All-Star break, call him up, trade Renhefo. Mateo, I want to say no. I feel like he needs to hit more consistently at the AAA level. Raleigh Chris, I say if we are competing after the All-Star break, during the second half, bring him in. Jason Chrome Dog said yes, indeed. So we did get a yes. Ace, no, because we already have enough outfielders. I keep him in the minors one more year. Ace was extremely wrong because, not even a couple games later. Unfiltered Sports Podcast, I'd give him a little bit more time. It's not like he's wasting away down there. Laker guy, no yo-yo crap. If he's not ready, leave him in the minors. If the Angels believe he's ready, bring him up. Now, that is a great opinion. Vince and I have said that many, many times. If we're going to call these guys up, give them the opportunity. This team isn't supposed to contend anyway, right? In theory. So bring them up and give them the opportunity to sink or swim. For the rest of the year, if you're going to – it's really hard for these guys to truly progress if they're going to keep coming up and down. Now, if it really is because somebody's going on this 60-day IL and you're like, hey, these are your 2 months to shine. At the end of these 60 days, you're going back to the minors, but we're going to use these 60 days to see what you got. Okay. But at least going in, they know what the game plan is, right? It isn't like Sam Alderghetti, hey, we're going to bring you up, or Caden Dana, we're going to bring you up. You're going to pitch 2 bullpen innings and you're going to get sent back down. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Don't do that. These guys need to figure out where they are. Are they in AAA? Are they in the majors? Okay, great. Leave them there and let them develop until something really bad happens. Hey, 10-game hitless streak, and he looks lost up there. Okay, maybe we need to send him back down to save his self-esteem. I understand it in that point, but overall, let these guys figure it out. Picaro's car. Yes, sir. I'm sure he will do better than Newman. Kenny, I'd like to say no. Maybe if we are somehow contending in August or September and then finally strains 2-6, maybe the start of July. So there you have it. That was the pulse of the Angels fans. Vince and I thought he was ready, and lo and behold, the Angels organization thought he was as well. Christian Moore has been officially called up. There is no corresponding move yet. What do you think it's going to be, Vince? Do you think it's going to be Kingery? Do you think Newman's kind of ran the end of the course, or do you think it's a much more serious Taylor injury, maybe going on like the 60-day IL?
Well, breaking news, it's actually Matthew Lugo.
Okay, well, Matthew Lugo got sent option, right? I didn't know if that was the move or if it was going to be somebody else.
Yeah, Matthew Lugo. So, I mean, it hurts because we were giving this kid a lot of praise, and now he's just on the up and down train, and that's his second option already, and you only get 3. So the Angels have to figure out a way to make sure that he stays in the organization, and I think that's why they do sign those veteran outfielders. I mean, we got Lamont Wade Jr. right now to basically be the fill-in for Matthew Lugo as he's getting work done in AAA. Because if anything, Matthew Lugo, if he's going to be a full-time player, it's going to be next season for sure. Because, I mean, there's the talks of Taylor Ward is not going to return. Jorge Soler, we do have him for another year, but we still have Joe Adele out there. We still have it's a lot of traffic out in the outfield for sure. But the good thing is when it comes to the infield, we really don't have much problem, but we do a little bit too because of the other young players we have in the farm system, of course, with Kyron Paris. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Kyron Paris and Christian Moore, those two are going to be competing for a second base spot. Or worst comes to worst, actually might be not even worst comes to worst, probably the best case scenario. Christian Moore would have to convert to third base and Kyron be a full-time second baseman. That's what I think is going to be at some point. But just to hear the good news of Christian Moore, yeah, he has to get his feet wet. And this is a perfect time to do it because the last thing you want to do is to have him stay in AAA and have him go through the Joe Adele effect where he's super, super hot in Salt Lake and in the AAA level. And then all of a sudden you call him up maybe like two weeks to 2 months too late. And the next thing you know, he just falls off completely. You don't want that. You want to see, we want to get a guy who's swinging the bat hot. And this is the perfect time to do it. Now we could have easily said, let's wait till July. But no, because we need to test him. And like I said, he does have enough options. If he struggles, okay, well, you know what? You're going to get this opportunity again. You're going to get this opportunity again in September for sure. But prepare him. Basically right now it's prepare for September, in my opinion. But sometimes you might think, why don't you prepare for September in August? Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of the obvious way to go, but that also depends on where you are in the competition wise. Are you competing for a playoff spot in August? If you are, then you want to go for the best guys. But if you're not competing, then maybe you can call that kid up and say, you know what, get your work in before the September call-ups kind of thing. And I think also too, another reason why this is a good time to call him up is because of the whole locking up a player like contract wise. Like we get an extra year of his minor league contract kind of thing, or when he gets extra year of control. Thank you. So this is a good time to do it. I mean, we could have easily called him up in May or April, but it's just too early because of the control. So now we have that extra year with him at this time. And I'm going to say it a lot. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I'll forever have a soft spot in my heart for Christian Moore. Now, for anyone listening on the YouTube side, I'm going to talk while the video is playing in the background. Now, this was the 2024 MLB draft. It was here in Fort Worth at the world famous Stockyards. I was there in attendance. So, like I said, if you're on the YouTube side, you'll see Christian Moore there in the back hugging, I'm guessing, members of his family, high-fiving friends and family, of course, as one does during their MLB, NFL, NBA draft, whatever sport, right? Everyone has very typical reactions, right? This is a life-altering event for them. So because of this moment, I am forever married to Christian Moore. You can see me on MLB Network, if you were watching, pointing at the camera saying, hey, Angels #1. So from now on, whenever anybody sees that clip, because anybody watches MLB Network knows they love to post that clip of Mike Trout getting drafted, right? It's Mike Trout in the MLB studio. So from now on, if Christian Moore turns out to be the player that we're all hoping he is, whenever anybody looks at that clip, you will forever see me pointing, hey, #1, because after they pan out of him with his family, it shows me, and then immediately goes to him shaking Rob Manfred's hand. So there you go. We are forever married in that moment of time. So I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for him because of that. This kid had a very promising college career. I'm really excited to see what this guy could do for our Angels. For any of you guys who are really into prospects, he is currently our #1 ranked prospect in the Angels organization. He is number 56 in all of Major League Baseball. He's currently 22 years young. He bats right-handed and throws right-handed. Now, when you're grading tools in baseball, there's a 20 to 80 scale grade. Now, 80 is the elite of the elite. There is nobody better at that than you. You are part of that class. And 20 is pretty rough around the edges, even mediocre in a way. I'll read some of these grades, and these are according to MLB Pipeline. So once again, 20 the lowest, 80 is the highest. He has a 55 hit grade tool, 60 grade power, 50 grade run, 50 grade arm, 50 grade fielding. So in theory, he's pretty average, right? With all things considered. But here's the biggest thing. Once again, this is a 22-year-old guy with his entire career ahead of him, right? If you're listening to this the moment this comes out on Friday morning, he has yet to even make his Major League debut. Even if you're listening to this in a couple days, he just made his Major League debut. So this guy still has his entire career ahead of him. Most guys develop these tools as they get older, right? Look at Zach Neto. When he came over and he got drafted, I would imagine that I didn't see his grades right when he got drafted on a Camel. But I can't imagine they were much different than Christian Moore. And now I would venture to guess that Zach Neto has trended positively in every single one of those tools that I just named. So with that being said, it's not far-fetched that Christian Moore's that far behind, taking a couple steps forward. This is probably the most exciting prospect the Angels have had get called up in, gosh, Vince, when was the last time we were this excited about a prospect? Because here's the thing. We've had some exciting debuts, right? Caden Dana came up last year. That was a very exciting debut. But here's the thing. Caden Dana's a starting pitcher, right? He pitches every 5th day. Christian Moore has the potential to change the trajectory of this lineup day in and day out for the next, 5-6 years minimum. So this is a very exciting time for our Angels. Christian Moore's numbers in the minors are as this. In 204 at-bats, 31 runs, 57 hits, 5 home runs, 32 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 279 average, an on-base percentage of 374, and an OPS of 796. I am fired up about this kid getting his opportunity to make his Major League debut with our Angels, because now, in theory, our franchise second baseman or maybe even third baseman is here, and hopefully here to stay. Because think about this potential infield. You got Nolan Shanuel at first base, and he's also been having a very, very good stretch of 20, 30 games. So let's not discount that. Let's give him his flowers too. You now have Moore potentially ready over at second base. You have his Neto at third base. Of course, you have Ohapi playing catcher. You have Mike Trout in right field. You have Joe Adell, who's clobbering the ball in center, and you have Taylor Ward in left. So right now, that's a pretty good team on paper, and I'm a lot more excited where we are right now than I was going into this season.
Yeah, the confidence is really high and the hope is really high. And Yeah, it's going to be an exciting week, I believe. I believe he's going to finish out the month for sure. But if he continues to keep swinging it hard, then he's going to be here for a while, and at least until the All-Star break. So the hype is real, but we just got to wait and see because everything adjusts when you get to the major league level. You have to have quicker bat speed. You have to change your timing a little bit. You got just everything. But I hear and I see how hard he works too, and like the reason I had a lot of hope for him too. We go back to that draft day clip. You know, after he shakes Rob Manfred's head, what's the last thing he says after when he does his interview about getting drafted? The last thing he says is, "I'm ready to work." That gave me so much confidence. When I heard that out of his mouth, I said, "This kid is going to be a future, the future of the Angels, let alone." And who knows? In the next 4 or 5 seasons, I think we're going to see a lot of Christian Moore jerseys being worn on these next generation of kids, along with Neto and Ohapi for sure, and throwing Sean Well there too.
Yeah. I also remember him saying that he's a winner and he's used to winning wherever he goes, and that's good. And like, there's a big difference between being cocky and like, oh, well, we're gonna win because I'm on this team, and saying, I'm a winner. I'm used to winning where I go, because that's what you want, right? You want guys who are winners. You want guys who bring winning mentalities, but you also want guys who are willing to work for those wins. Because here's the thing: it's okay. So think about going to kindergarten, right? You're forced to go to school, first, second, third, all the way up to high school. You're essentially forced to go to school, right? I mean, yeah, they're not holding a gun up to your head and saying, hey, you got to go to school every day, Vince. But also, if you don't show up to school, they're going to call your parents, right? And I mean, you know, whoever, you know, your parental figure, whoever that may be. And most of the time, those guardians are going to say, hey, go back to school. So really, there's no choice, right? Most of us go to school. But once you get to college, why do some people start to fade out? Why do some people not finish college? Well, because for the first time in your life, you have a choice. I don't want to go to school today. I want to go to work. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's some people who have a lot of success doing that. But the point is, my point of that analogy is, some people don't get through college because, you know, they decided to take another path, right? They finally had the option and they decided to take the other path. Here, when you are a professional athlete, nobody is forcing you to work. Yeah, they're breathing down your neck. Yeah, the expectation is you're going to lift, eat right, you're going to properly exercise, take care of your body. But we've also seen enough sports in our life to know some athletes treat their body like an investment. I know, for instance, Todd hates LeBron James. A lot of people who are, you know, listening to this show probably hate LeBron James. But you would be crazy to say something like LeBron James doesn't take care of his body, right? Even the biggest LeBron haters will admit that guy treats his body like a temple. You know what I mean? His body is his biggest investment. And if you're an athlete, your body is your biggest investment, right? Because if that fails, you don't have really much else going for you, especially because in other sports, contracts aren't guaranteed. In baseball, it is. So all that to say, I love I love Christian Moore having that head on his shoulders to say, you know, I'm going to win here. I'm going to work hard here, because that's what this organization needs. We're seeing that out of these young guys so far. They work hard, they play hard, and I love that mentality. I'm excited to see what Christian Moore brings to this organization. And honestly, if this team's going to contend right now, I want Christian Moore to be part of these games so he can learn what that's like to win at the Major League Baseball level. If this team's going to start to lose and this team's going to start to take some steps back, I want Christian Moore to be part of that so he can see what it's like to fail at the Major League Baseball level. Because these are the things that are invaluable with the young team. The success, the failures, all of that is going to lead to hopefully this year playing meaningful games, next year playing meaningful games, and the year after that maybe making the playoffs. Maybe it's this year, because Vince, once you make the dance in baseball, you never know what'll happen.
Let's not forget he's going to be playing at Yankee Stadium sometime in a couple days. So that might get to you. We'll see. So will the nerves kick in, or will you say?
Hey, he's a Brooklyn boy, right?
Yeah, he is.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll wait and see. This is going to be a really fun week for sure.
Absolutely. Exciting times here in Anaheim, guys. We hope that you guys are just as excited as we are. That's what I've got this week. Vince, what would you like to say as we close out here?
Well, I did it for Mother's Day. I'm going to do it for Father's Day. This is to all the fathers out there. Shout out to every single one of them, especially the baseball dads, the ones who introduce us to the game. My dad, especially. Without him, I wouldn't be able to know about the love of the game of baseball. I wouldn't have the passion for the game of baseball. And also, thanks to my dad, the Cowboy culture too, the Cowboy heart in me. My dad basically passed that on to me, and I love to spread it. And yeah, a lot of credit to our dads who introduced us to the game of baseball. And without them, playing catch. We'll always remember those days about playing catch, and then them cheering us on during the game. And if we did something bad, they were there to critique us. But you know what? It did help. There are times where like you get critiqued and you didn't want to hear it, but at the same time you're like, well, Dad has a point. So shout out to all of you. Happy Father's Day this weekend. Spend time with your dads. I will say I do have one favorite moment with my dad. 2022, the Reed Detmers no-hitter. And it was amazing to be able to witness that next to my dad. And who else would you rather be with?
Yeah, my dad definitely gave me my love of baseball. I love the movie Field of Dreams, and any times where he's asking his dad if he wants to have a catch. You're wiping the tears away because I think about all those times I played catch with my dad. For me, it was always every Friday. My dad would pick me up from school, or he'd get home from work, either one, and we would go to this baseball field. It was Blue Cypress in San Diego. For anyone who knows the Scripps Poway area, and we'd go there every Friday because they'd have the lights on. So I'd always call it Friday under the lights. We'd play baseball, kickball, and football. We just kind of alternate between all of them, and it was always funny because my dad and I would play one-on-one baseball. And you think the Savannah Bananas do some crazy stuff? You should have seen one-on-one baseball with my dad and I. You hit the ball as hard as you can. The other person tries to make it home before my dad can tag me out, and vice versa. So that was always a lot of fun. But I remember one Friday in particular, Vince picked me up. It was kind of early. He got home from work. My mom stayed home. Whatever she would do whenever we'd go to the park. And we only played for about 15, 20 minutes. Didn't play long at all. And then he's like, oh, we got to go early today. And of course, I'm a 7-year-old kid at this time, maybe 6. And I was like, no, I want to keep playing, kind of throwing a little hissy fit. And he was like, no, we're going to the game. I was like, what game? He's like, we're going to the Padres game tonight. He busted out some tickets. And for anyone who likes wrestling, it was like Solo Sikoa when he's like, yo, I got tickets, y'all. It was like that. He just busted out the tickets. And that was the last Friday game at Qualcomm Stadium ever. That was the day where they gave out the little chicken bobbleheads. And then we went the next day where they gave out the Qualcomm Stadium replicas. I saw both of them here in my room now, my man cave. But, you think about moments like that. And, I'm very fortunate that my father's still here. Thank you to all the dads out there and the father figures out there. And for anyone whose dad and father figure isn't here anymore, our condolences with you. And all we can hope is that on a day like today, I'm sure it's hard for you. I'm still fortunate enough that both of my parents are here. But, I've heard Todd reminisce many times about like his mother on like Mother's Day. So I know these kind of days are hard for people who have lost loved ones. So if that is you, our thoughts, prayers, condolences to your family. I know it's probably not an easy day, but hopefully through the difficulty of the day, you guys can remember the good memories as well. Does that fill that void? Absolutely not. I would never pretend it would, but just take a quick second and remember the good times just to hopefully make it a little easier. But yeah, happy Father's Day to all the dads and the father figures out there. Where we tip our caps to you. But on behalf of all of us here at Halos in Infield, thank you guys so much. Follow us again on all the social medias at Halos in Infield, at Vince the Angels _Cowboy is the handle there. And y'all be good now. You hear? We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
From Anaheim down to the Texas plains, hot takes flying, riding off the range. Lone Star, Halo, Cowboy, Vince.
All right, man.
Amazing.